Every project, no matter the scale, must start with planning and pre-production. It's tempting to just hop straight into a level editor and start messing around, and you can learn a little by doing this, but to create a cohesive project, proper planning really is key. Now, in general, the more you put into the pre-production phase, the better your end result will be, so don't skip it. The first thing we need to decide is what our goals for this project will be. Is your goal to learn Unreal Engine 5's toolset? Is it to build a functioning game prototype that you can pitch to a publisher? Or is it to fully produce and publish the next indie hit? No matter what your vision for your project is, it is important that you set realistic goals based on your team size, your time frame, and your budget. So if it is just you developing in your spare time, creating a massive open world AAA quality title with lots of cool combat mechanics and abilities and hundreds of NPCs to talk to is probably not very realistic, at least not in a timely manner. Setting realistic goals can sometimes be the most difficult part of the process because it is very tempting to plan something really ambitious. But then when it comes time to get into production, the reality of how much work goes into even the smallest segments of games can sort of come crashing down, and it becomes just way too much for any one person. So let's talk about our goals for this course. Our goal is to learn the basics of game design in Unreal Engine and Blender by creating a simple playable level. And there's a couple ways we are going to manage the scope of this project. Firstly, we are going to keep the mechanics very simple. Our player character, is going to be able to run and jump, and that is pretty much it. The second way we are going to manage the scope is by keeping the playable area of the level fairly small. And the third way we are going to manage our scope is by keeping the art style very simplistic. So with these constraints in mind, we want to look at games that match this description to start gathering gameplay ideas. So for this project, I wanted to look at some early 3D Nintendo titles, such as Super Mario 64, because they are fairly simple but really solid designs. Now, some of you may be thinking, but I don't want to copy another game. I want to make something that's totally original. And that's great, and you will. Eventually, but we have to walk before we can run here. And when we are just starting out in design, and this applies not only to games, but to other areas of design as well. When we are just starting out, I highly recommend that you look at professional examples or concepts first, because you will actually learn what makes for a good game design more quickly by doing that than by trial and error with original concepts. Now, in this game, Mario has some additional abilities such as grab and ground pound, so our game is going to be simpler than this even. But I chose it as my primary reference because it uses 3D space rather than 2D for its level design, and we are going to be building a 3D game. So when you're planning your project, take some time to find and study references. Play lots of different types of games. If you don't have access to the games you want to study, YouTube is a great resource for finding complete playthroughs of games. And when you watch or play, take notes. Mark down what you like and what you don't like about the games you play. Do your best to draw simple maps of the levels in the game so you get a better understanding of how the designers have used the space. Pay attention to how they encourage or discourage players to take certain actions or interact with the game in a specific way. Studying real-world examples is only going to improve your designs. Now, of course, it is totally fine to follow along with me and build the level I designed for this course. However, if you're feeling brave, I encourage you to use the process that I'm going to show you, but make it your own and design your own level. So let's discuss that design. Now, before we can build anything, we need to know what we are building. So we're going to start with a level design plan. Now, level design should always follow and support the kind of gameplay you wish to take place. So the first thing we need to decide is exactly what it is that we want to happen in our level. Now, to do this, we are going to use a template, which I will include in the supplementary materials, but let's take a quick look at it together.